right, welcome to another episode from the Chart Readers, and what an amazing day today. Obviously, a lot to talk about on the individual stocks, but look, so much of it was driven by NASDAQ, all right? You hear me say it all the time. An index should really only move about 0.2, 0.3% up and down. If you have like a 0.5, 0.6 day, that's a really big day. All of a sudden, NASDAQ 1.24, big candle, big gap. Again, we closed down here on Friday. We gap up well over 20 or 20,000, excuse me, and make our way on up, right? So still pushing all-time highs, doing it with really, really big candles. And what does that do? That makes these stocks that much better, right? SoundHound, I loved it on my last video, and you can see why. This is also why I keep stressing it is better to be over a golden line than to be below a death line, all right? All-time highs are way better for your money than all-time lows, all right? And I think SoundHound is a beautiful example of that. KULR, what went from almost, and not even almost, literally 2 full weeks of dojis to a very big candle, actually testing my line up here, and maybe, actually I even said it, so almost not even maybe, but we do need to confirm tomorrow, and I'll talk about that shortly, but maybe there are no more 90-cent fears, right? You can even see that the 20 moving average is above that line, so hey, even if we come all the way down to 20, it's still 97, but you get what I'm saying, right? So big day today, and again, it was, in my opinion, driven by the NASDAQ. I have not covered SOFI in a while. This is still beast mode to me, okay? I talked about the fact that we've only been using the 8 moving average for a good while of it. We obviously came up to a nice little resistance line that I did draw, but end of the day, look, we talk about the 8 and the 20 in a pair. When you lose the 8, the 20 should be there to bounce you back up and continue on the run, right? So real nice healthy real nice healthy reset on the RSI, 2 R words right there. Caught my tongue. MACD still stayed positive, and again, I think more than anything, this is why the 8 and the 20 are always in the discussion. Trust me, I want to be over the 8 and not have to worry about the 20, but hey, stuff happens, right? Either a resistance, either too high an RSI, whatever it might be, right? And you see the beauty right there, right? So super excited. I think the last thing, let me just say on the opening thoughts, I am still a little annoyed that the Dow Jones is going down. Okay, obviously all 3 of these are very tech heavy stocks. Personally, I do kind of look at the Dow Jones when I'm thinking of SoFi. I think it is still a little bit of a brick and mortar bank as much as it wants to be like this high tech bank, whatever, right? But I am a little annoyed that's just literally almost a week and a half of nothing but red candles, right? S&P 500 is doing better, right? SPX, S&P 500. It's at least horizontal, and trust me, I would much rather have this horizontal than the down we saw on Dow Jones, right? But one more time, as long as NASDAQ is doing the job, we're going to focus on tech. Remember, FOMC meeting is in less than 2 days. It's on the 18th. Still a high probability that we're going to reduce, right? We're going to have a rate cut. We're up here. Most people are thinking we're going to come down just a little bit. And you can see there was a moment where people thought we were going to stay I mean, you can see it was not quite 50-50, but a good, 1/3, 2/3, kind of almost a coin flip, right? We're now sitting at a much more comfortable drop. Hopefully, Powell does the job, and in my opinion, that should be enough to recover the Dow Jones. But yeah, if the Dow Jones can basically get over 44,400, get me back into here, basically, right? I think that will do really well for the NASDAQ. Because again, I want the unison. I want those 3 to be moving up so that I can just think to myself, it's all good, right? So before we do go any further though, and I give you more of my thoughts and opinions, what are we going to do? Same thing we always do, right? We're going to take a look at the daily and the weekly to see how these things are setting up short term. We have our 5 moving averages. There are horizontal support and resistance lines that I do draw manually myself. And then when we are done up here, we'll use the MACD, RSI, and volume as our lower indicators. Hey, really quickly, if you can, please subscribe to this channel. Share this video online with your friends. Comment good or bad if you disagree. Look, anything you can do helps so much with these YouTube algorithms. But for real, just being here, giving me your time, oh, I'm so grateful for it, all right? So, look, SoundHound, all I am seeing is a stock bouncing on the 8 moving average like a champion, right? When you combine it with NASDAQ going into all-time highs, when you combine it with what is now basically living over 100 million shares per day, I mean, there's so much power in everything I just said, right? Obviously, the RSI is a little bit high. We're looking at an 85 on the daily. I even think, yeah, it is. The weekly is even pushing a 91. The thing is, though, when this looks so good, when the MACD looks so good, when the volume looks so good, when the NASDAQ looks so good, when so much else is good, all of a sudden we find ourselves thinking, you know what, I think I can ignore a little something here, especially given how nice everything else is, right? So normally I ring the alarm bell, especially as we creep on higher and higher in the 80s, right? But I'm still really liking what I'm seeing, okay? I think the one thing to consider, I guess there's two things to consider, and they're almost related. Look, FOMC meeting, okay? Powell has the powers to make bad out of good and make amazing out of good, right? Right now we're sitting at a lot of good, and there's really no reason for me to think bad, right? And I thought we were looking at the NASDAQ, but we're not. I'm talking about the indices, right? But Powell will make the NASDAQ go even higher in all-time highs. Or if he does something scary, all of a sudden we might see a little bit of a reaction, right? So just be aware of what happens. I think in a lot of ways, as much as we care about what he's going to do on this rate cut, we need the guidance, right? I want to believe we're not done cutting rates. I think if people believe that, if markets believe that, that will be a good thing, all right? I think the one other thing just to note, look, the meeting after, all right, the FOMC meeting after the one coming up in less than 2 days, right, will be after Trump's in office. And Trump has talked about so much deregulation and things like that. Maybe if we get some worrying guidance, maybe some Trump optimism for deregulation can be a good thing, right? But I actually don't know. Let me look forward. Nice. There are some that are actually believing in a bigger rate cut coming into January, let alone the fact that at least one more drop seems realistic, right? So I'm liking that actually. And again, this is still reflecting a same right here, right? So yeah, no, that's interesting. They're actually considering even a deeper cut as opposed to this one, which is just that single small one, right? So let's see what Powell does. Let's see the guidance he gives. Let's get into the technicals from there, right? And again, what am I seeing? I'm seeing a beautiful bounce of the 8 moving average. The one thing we have seen, and this is the second thing I wanted you to consider, even from back here, we go up from the 8, we come to the 8. We go up from the 8, we come to the 8. We go up from the 8 to, up from the 8 to the 8. We've now gone up from the 8. And I don't know if we're going to come back down to it as we have been. Again, as long as we're over it, it's all good, right? Or, and I'm going to get to SOFI later, the other way is you go away from it, you go horizontal. You go away from it, you go horizontal. Away, horizontal, away, right? And that's the better, prettier, and truly stronger way of doing it, right? So I do believe at some point SoundHound should find the strength to go horizontal. For now, it's not doing it just yet, literally since we've broken in all and flown, right? On this entire run, right? So I still need to assume there's going to be a little bit of a come down. You can kind of argue it's going a little bit more horizontally than it has been before, and maybe that's something to consider, right? But really, I think tomorrow should still be okay. Maybe we'll see a little bit of FOMC sell-off. I think the strong expectations might make it just a little safer. And again, NASDAQ all-time highs make things so good, right? So I am still liking the daily. I am still liking the weekly. The only thing I have to say, look, there are no more educated lines I can draw. They're real, like we are all the way up here, right? The last line that I can maybe have drawn was right there, right? So I can't really put much of a next expectation up. But look, I always say when you break a golden line, when you get into all-time highs, I expect you to make 20%, then another 20%, then another 20%, and it just keeps on repeating and repeating and repeating, because that's the beauty of all-time highs, right? It's the opposite of the black hole vortex of death that eats 20 and eats 20 and eats 20 down in all-time lows, right? So look, we went from basically 13 to 19, right? That's far more than 20%. And at this point, again, maybe we come back down to the 8. Maybe I think maybe I would put like 1850 in the back pocket. Otherwise, we're going to keep on climbing, and I continue to believe we're going to keep on climbing until we lose the 8 and the 20, because again, we've used the 8 and the 20 once. We just saw on the SOFI opening thoughts, and I'll get to them shortly, there will be a point where all you're going to do is use the 8, but eventually they always slip, right? It's part of the game. The 20 will do the job right after, right? So as long as these two are in nice unison, and again, I know I'm talking about SoundHound. I'm glad we didn't lose it when the distance was from here to here. We lost it right here when it was just a very small drop, a very safe drop, nothing crazy, crazy scary, right? So with SoundHound, it's twofold. You got to see the distance from the 8 to the 20, and again, as long as you were over both of them, what else can I do except expect good things? Got a little tongue tied right there as well. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know your opinions, even if you disagree. What was next? Oh yeah, it was KULR. Got to like what we're seeing today. All right, so I think a lot of this. Let me take a couple steps back. Okay, again, I've been waiting for. If you've been watching the last few videos. Oops, 1 second. Sorry. Offering. I've been waiting for the offering reaction. Okay, I gotta go back. Right here. Yes. So what we know is KULR made an offering at 79 cents. Okay, they banked an immediate $12 million plus dollars right there, right? Again, I kept saying, me personally, as the dude talking on the microphone to you right now, right? I like offerings. I have nothing here that talks about share count, nothing that talks about float. I don't mind more shares. Give me $12 million in my bank and not have to give you monthly loan payments and stuff, right? To me, that's worth giving up some shares, okay? I think the other big thing to focus on is 80 cents on KULR when in February we were at 11 cents open, right? I'll bank that all day for sure. February was not that long ago, and to get someone to pay me a solid 70 plus, huge, okay? The interesting thing was, look, this offering happened on the 3rd, okay? On the 3rd, we were trading at, you can see the close of the day, the green line on top was $1.39. Generally speaking, an offering is not really a good reaction on the market. And generally, if you're all the way up here and your offering was all the way down here, I'm kind of expecting you to fall somewhere near the all here, right? Somewhere near that 70 cents. We basically stayed horizontal the entire time, just doji after doji after doji after doji. And again, I'm not a candle pattern dude. Maybe some are going to be offended that I'm calling all of these dojis. Obviously, that's a textbook one. That's a textbook one. To me, every single one, including this green one right here, all of these were dojis the last 2 weeks. The market was not sure how to react to this, right? Does it like what I like? Does it like that $12 million bank on an 80-cent stock when we were only at 11 not that long ago? Or did it not like the fact that we did it, and so on and so forth, right? To me, this candle makes me believe a lot more. You can see it. What was the high of the day? 149. We tried to get over this, right? My big thing when I was talking about KULR on the last couple of videos was, look, these two lines were very 50-50. I sincerely didn't know, and I'm not here pretending to be any smarter than I am, right? It was way too 50-50 for me to know, all right? But if we broke this one, we were going to go to this one. If we lost this one, we were going to come down to this one, right? All of a sudden, I got to start to believe, sorry to zoom out so much, I got to believe 180 is a lot more realistic than 92. Okay, that's what today did. I need confirmation. I need confirmation. Get me over this line. And again, all I can think about is above, right? I mentioned it. I'm going to flash it one more time. When NASDAQ brings you a gap up all-time high candle and pushes over 1%, man, if it's pushing over 0.6%, that's a big, big NASDAQ day. That is the ocean being calm and letting us go deeper and deeper into the. I actually said that today, and I think I really like the way I said it on the Discord. All right, when the right here. Look, a normal index day is 0.3. It really is. 0.6 is a monster day. We were at 124, 1.24. You can see we actually closed. Oh, get out of here. That's where we closed. I remember us pushing the 1.3s. That's what I was expecting. But it's today was basically 8x bigger than we're expecting. And when the ocean is calm, I try not to curse on the videos, right? But our little boats, our little dinky boats, the stocks, can go deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper into the ocean. Profits, right? And that is a calm NASDAQ. That's an all-time high gap up, no resistances above me. Oh my gosh, we're actually still only at a 77. We're not even pushing into the 80s yet. Oh my goodness, right? So I think that had a lot to do with the KULR candle today, as long as the FOMC, which again is in 2 days, right? It's on the 18th, a little less than 2 days, as you can see. As long as nothing crazy happens here, again, at this point, I got to expect we're going to go up to 180, right? Now, do I have a line above 180? I don't. Okay, let's do a couple things. All right? I'm going to actually zoom into the early days. I'm surprised I didn't do it on this ticker. To me, none of the stock matters until right here, okay? You can see a whole mess of dashes on the daily. And roughly right around here is where we start to become more consistent candles. This line is the IPO line to me. I don't think there's anything more important than in the past. Like if you come to here, like I'm clicking on a random day, there was no volume. When I click right here, there was no volume. Look at that big candle right there. The volume was 200. Literally 200 shares, right? That's nothing, right? So this is where the volume starts. And truth be told, the volume's not even that big just yet, right? But regardless. So as of now, are we over the IPO? No, we're not. Okay, so where are we to this candle? 174. Okay, I'm gonna move this line to here. I think roughly that's where it is. I think that's the first takeoff. What I want to do is, because we're already over that right there, right? Yeah, we're sitting at 143 today. Damn. That's the line. I'm going to put you right there. 163 is next. And then if we break 163, I'm going to take us to here. I'm going to take to 203 after. I think these are our two next lines up. Again, I guess I really shouldn't have moved that line because we were following it pretty hard and that was my 50-50 line. Dang, sometimes that's the problem with doing things live, right? But just I think at this point I'm okay moving it actually, because look, what matters for tomorrow is to confirm this candle, okay? Even with that line moved, all I'm seeing is a nice bounce and hold on the 8 moving average. So it was a little dumb for me to move it. I'm not going to pretend that didn't happen. But yeah, I think 163 is next. If we break 163, I don't even think that 180 anymore. I actually think that's what will get us into $2 right there. So I think I like that movement, even though in a little bit of a way I don't. Kind of a weird RSI, but again, I think the big theme across the videos over the last couple of weeks has been I'm ignoring the RSI just a little bit more. As long as my MACD is positive, as long as, and you can see it today, we're getting over the 50-day volume line, right? As long as we're there, that's a good thing. The one thing to note, I've been saying I want 50 million shares, right? That's something I said. Today was 40, and I think today's a reason we wicked the line I previously had at 148, right? I think if we had 50 million shares, if we had a little bit more, we might have gotten over it. Again, I'm going to say it one more time. Give me now. I think it's actually a little more realistic to ask for that 70 million that I was afraid to on the last couple of videos. I would love 70 million shares. You give me 70 million shares, we'll break 160 tomorrow for sure. Okay, I think if you can give me that 50 million shares, we'll probably get to that, and I would call it a confirmation of today if I had to guess what was going to happen for tomorrow. But again, overall, I think as long as we're over the 8 moving average, there's a lot to love. If this was going to come down, maybe 129 is the lower number, maybe. But again, I think we're looking for a big confirmation right here. All right, so I'll look at the weekly before we end it here. Look, this is an important weekly chart right here. We are battling with the 200 moving average. We are starting off well, and I remember saying it a bunch. The last real good attempt was back in late 2022, and the last real time we were actually over it was in early 2022, right? So this is a 2-year-old resistance on top of the fact that it's the hardest moving average of all of them, right? So a lot happening on the daily chart, a lot happening on the weekly chart. NASDAQ being good makes a lot of it just so much easier than it would be in any other moment, right? So let me know your thoughts. Let me know your opinions, even if you disagree. Man, I have not talked about SOFI in such a long time, and I do apologize, but beast mode has maintained beast mode. And as much as you know I love bouncing on the 8 like a champion, this is why we have the 20. This is why these two are in a pair, and these three are kind of their own little individual monsters that we got to take out, right? And so much to like. A beautiful RSI reset. MACD stays positive, and I mean living at the 50-day average, right? And feels like check mark, check mark, check mark, check mark. Real quick, hey, if you can subscribe, if you can share, it is much appreciated, all right? So, you know I generally don't like to focus on my lines. I'm just some dude clicking, right? To me, the moving averages matter a lot, but that was a pretty good 1660 line. I am curious where it was. Oh, look at that. Yeah, there's a lot happening here, right? I don't know exactly what's going on there, but horizontal, a peak, a horizontal, yeah, no, that's an important line right there. And again, literally the exact same thing I just said on KULR. The last time we were actually over that line was in 2021. This is actually a significantly harder resistance because we weren't even near it in 2022, right? So big line for sure. I think that's a big reason we had to lose the 8 moving average. Completely makes sense, especially how high the RSI was. But hey, what just happened? We went from a crazy high RSI to a very healthy RSI in the 60s. MACD never reset. Look, obviously we saw the red over green on both, and you know I never liked that, right? But end of the day, I live and die by these lines. The moving average is held, and that's really what I care about the most, on top of the fact that I know we weren't over it, but we were basically living on the line, right? And volume is king, volume is queen for the ladies out there watching it. And yeah, you have volume, you have moving averages, you can kind of ignore most of the other things, right? So very difficult line. And look, today is an interesting candle, all right? I always respect a doji. To me, that's a doji right there. As much as this is textbook and this is textbook and this is textbook, that one, this is a doji to me. And you have a doji on a very important 3-year resistance line. Tomorrow is going to be very telling. Look, today didn't even get over the 50-day line. And really, it's kind of been struggling to get over it. It's been living there, and I'm happy with the living there for sure, right? But if we can get just a little bit more volume, if we can get ironically the same KULR number, hilarious. Okay, we want 70 million shares here. That'll be about 50% more volume than we saw today. Give me 70 million shares. All I need is 10 million shares per day, per hour in a 7-hour trading day, right? So by that second hour, if we're near 20 million, I expect us to be well over that 1660 line, right? Let me go to the weekly. It'll be easier to see it. Ooh, I got to draw the next line. Real quick. What do I see coming up after? It's got to be that thing right there. I think if we break 1660, we'll be coming up to 18 something. Actually, I think I want to raise it to that. I think it'll probably be 19. Let's see if I can find something. I can't. I'll zoom into that after. Let's break this 3-year-old resistance, and then we'll set that next target. But again, gotta look, one more example. Good things happen over the golden lines, right? So where was the weekly? Oh, wow. Weekly RSI is still at a 95. But again, I like this daily reset. This Ooh, excuse me, a little hiccup there. Sorry about that. This is telling me we should still have a couple of great days in this week. Interesting to see how high that RSI is. Definitely the highest. The RSI has never been that high, right? Last week we were at 89. We were at 90. We were at 86. Yeah, we've never been this high. 95. Man, look at this thing. Lovely, lovely, lovely. Again, I've been ignoring the RSI more than I normally do. That's the power of a strong market. If, sorry, if Powell does the job, if, oh my goodness, can you imagine if Powell makes it seem, look, on this one, we're only talking about two rates. We're only talking about holding and a small increase. Obviously, we don't know what's going to happen on the 18th yet, so right now we have to assume that's the same. They're actually assuming there's a small chance that we might make a 2 basis point move, right? Normally we only do a 0.25. They're talking about a potential half cut on the next one, right? So really interesting to see this. If he can give us some good guidance, that's going to do some amazing things here, all right? So let me know your thoughts. Let me know your opinions, even if you disagree. Oh, I appreciate you all so much.